David.
Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to episode 13 of BDAchat. Following on from last week, where we were basically talking about taking the brief and moving it forward, we're going to dive into now what we do with that brief. We've got it, and we're moving on. We're running with it. You know, we're cooking on gas. And from that point on, it's Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's, Rob. Happy Valentine's, David. Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's.
It's really cold in here.
And it is very cold, hence we're all wearing scarves because the heating, I think, has not turned on today. So I'm wearing my lovely coat and Rob's wearing his lovely scarf.
Bum bag.
Anyway, so moving on, brief. Yeah, bum bag. Don't really get that. But anyway, so we've got a brief. The clients come to us. We need to now digest that information and see where we go to next. So I'm going to hand over to Camilla.
Don't do that to me.
Yeah, because...
Go on, you can.
It's brief. Passing it on. Passing the ball. I'm going to have a sip of my tea.
Okay.
So what happens then, Camilla?
Really
What do we
mean,
do?
Isn't it? So we get a brief.
Nice.
And we get the brief ideally face-to-face. Or if we have to over the phone, but face-to-face is better, or a video call or something. Because there's loads of questions that you get from when you receive the brief. And then we take it away and we share it with the team. So we kind of digest that brief again. So like we did today, actually, for a big project that we're working on, it's about getting everything out on paper or on a big whiteboard to go, okay, what are the objectives? What are their challenges? How can we make their life fantastic? And where do we go from there? David?
It's just generally getting a better understanding of what it is that they're trying to do.
Yeah, you're like pecking it into little pieces, basically.
It's interrogating it, I see it as. It's almost, there's bits in the brief which are the bits of information you want to extract from the brief because there's key information in there that you want to take out. So it's kind of the what we know aspect, and then I think there's those bits that aren't in the brief. So you're trying to kind of interrogate and find those questions where we've got gaps, the unknowns, or the Donald Rumsfelds, the unknown unknowns, trying to get to those bits. So I think that's always the next process. It's unpicking and questioning and extracting the key information from the brief.
Because everybody that's been given that brief, so whether it's a verbal brief or whether it's been a video call or whether it's a written brief, we all interpret it differently.
Completely.
We all take different parts from it. We all understand it differently. And for us, it's about getting together in a room and saying, so what have we each understood from it? What have we all taken from it? All of us have got different experiences with that client, with that particular brand, the products or services that they sell. So what do we know about them? How can we get that up on the board and really understand it better?
Because if it's one person digesting that brief, you've got just a different viewpoint of it. So you're going to get a very linear response to that brief if it's just one. So we always find it really important to sit in a room. And there were 6 of us in that room this morning just to run through, all from different areas of the business, just to run through what we thought of that meeting and what we got from it and any superpowers that the brand has or any of those little pieces to paint a bigger picture.
Because it's not the most, dare I say, the most structured of meetings. It's more of a brain dump.
But it doesn't have to be
isn't it?
structured. I
No,
think
it
that's
doesn't.
the important bit. People put a lot of pressure on themselves to understand that brief and come up with the answer there, and then you don't need to. It's just a regurgitation and remapping of what we've got already. Yeah,
because it really is just understanding that situation at the moment.
Yeah.
It's you could use the marketing like pestle analysis and write out the SWOT and all of that stuff.
Oh, David.
Could do all of that if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty of it, or indeed we can use the creative brief that we put out that was on the link,
the template, on the website.
Template that went on the website last week, and start to try and pick that apart. But for me, it's really important to get everybody else's opinion on it. When you're talking about branding, for argument's sake, what do we feel about that brand? How does it, what makes us notice it over somebody else noticing it? Understand what Camilla's view on it is as opposed to Rob's view or Lee's view.
Different things resonate.
Absolutely, absolutely. But also from these meetings, a whole load of questions will come up.
Yeah, always.
To fire back to the client.
And I think what I see in briefs is there's lots of different types of information. So you will have audience information, you'll have problems, you'll have objectives, and it's clearly, I think, even though we say it's unstructured, it's almost taking all those elements out, and even though we're slapping them on the board, but it's actually providing that structure. These are the problems they're facing. These are who they're trying to talk to. These are the objectives of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's, again, what part of the job of having so many people in the room to kind of deconstruct the brief is to extract those bits of information, be it problems, objectives, whatever it may be.
Because I think one of the important things that we do, or we feel we need to do, is not go in there following on from the brief that's been given by the client and going, right, let's come up with some ideas, let's see what we can do, let's go on to the really exciting bit first. It's actually taking a breath, stepping back, making sure that we've understood it properly, going through that process of discussing it before going away again, to let that settle in, percolate through your body before you come back again, and then you start saying, right, so what are we taking from that? What could we do? Where can we take this? Because there are normally so many avenues that we could all go on when we get a brief that we could start going down the wrong route, path, couldn't we? Whereas if we've all agreed, right, next steps are, we need to go away and we need to do some research, or we need to ask these questions and get those back first before we
And
can
I think
move on.
establishing with the client as well, what do you expect back from us?
Yes.
It's really important. What does it look like if it's an approach that they're after, for example? In what format? What are they expecting to see that would make them feel amazing in front of their teams or to their boss? Or all those things are really important.
Yeah.
So what do you want to? What's your best case scenario of you getting back? Or is it just a cost, or is it just quite simple? It depends on what we're working on at the time.
Absolutely,
And I've seen Lee in action, and you're very much you're a why man, aren't you? You're a why. Tell me more. Why to get to that real root of what they're trying to do.
I am, but then part of me is I go the other way. I tend to think,
idea.
I could do this. We could do that, and. So I like
that's
to
natural, isn't it?
I like to get a vision in my head. We could really do this, and but at the same time, you do have to sort of, keep your eye on that and make sure you don't go too down the rabbit hole, and look at the different aspects of the brief and look at what's actually required. Look at the budgets. Look at what you can actually do, or even some cases, dare I say it, throw it all out the window and go, ooh, this is what I really think you should do.
That's so important.
Let's inspire, let's wow you. Yeah, okay, you got budget, but let's just say you could actually do this.
Yeah.
And the more that I've worked in video, and I'm talking from a video point of view, but the more excited you can get. I think excitement is infectious, and if you can infect them with your attitude, your adventurousness, your love for the brief, your passion. I hate to use that word, but anyway, it's in there. That then you can spiral a brief into many different things.
Infect them.
It sounds dangerous, but it's part of those words that we're not supposed to use. But probably infect them, just to excite them. I guess is probably the key word.
I think a lot of the time when we're internally, when we're going through this process, I think you can get a brief. And sometimes maybe it doesn't inspire you immediately, but I think if you get down to the nub of what it is, you can really start to turn anything into something that's exciting.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what we're here to do, is to create excitement, create something that is different.
Onion skinning. There's a term in After Effects called onion skinning, where basically you work on very different layers of an effect shot, and you can peel off the layers till you get to the raw shot, and then as you layer up your effects work, they call it onion skinning. And it's kind of like a bit to a brief with me, is that you get like, this is the initial idea, okay, and then we start layering up all the other ideas that we have. Where we think we could go with it, and before you know it, you have this much grander sort of vision that BDA have come up with, and in each of these layers are different members of the team, and that's and then you get to present. Well, not very much grand, but an onion. But
here's your onion.
Here's your onion. But it could be the best onion ever. But I think what I'm trying to say is that there's lots of people that come together once you've got that information of the brief of what the client wants, and you put it together.
Yeah. And what you said earlier was really key for me. I think we are human, so when you're deciphering a brief and we're deconstructing it, interrogating it, ideas are popping in all the time as you're going, well, we could be doing this in the back of your head, and quite often often were like what we did earlier was we stored those.
Yeah.
I know everyone kind of didn't go, we're
Yeah,
not
we
here to
held
do
back.
ideas today, but they were springing to mind already as you're going
Well,
through it, going, actually. And then the more you interpret that brief and the further you dig, the more you already start to do that natural filtering process of dispelling some of the ideas or kind of actually that one's got legs.
You want to kind of try and challenge. I always think if it's a video project, I want to challenge myself. And the only reason I was watching, because the Olympics were on recently, and I've been watching a lot of Shaun White doing his snowboarding, and he came up with this amazing comment, because they said to him, he said, I was a bit worried, because he gets worried at qualifying, because he's like a guy of my stature, you know, if I fail at qualifying, that's a massive hurdle. But he says, once I get into the event, he says, that's when I really come alive, and they're talking about the competition, and he's like, yeah, but you run faster when you yes.
I like that too. That's a good.
That's because you do. You just know if you're like, I really need to, this opportunity is too big for me to pass up on, or for me to not give 150%. And that continual fire in your belly burn. Oh yeah, this could be amazing. And that's where I get really, that moment where, wow.
You're doing it. I like it. He's doing
what
the
can we
look.
create?
This is the real look.
This
He's doing the
see
look.
his
This
neck
tiny
anymore,
little
it's just
breed.
all scarf and coat and hair.
And we've had it recently. I've been on shoot, and you just think, wow, this has all come together, and wow, it's scary, but yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I think we've run out
Yeah.
of time. That's our 10 minutes up, guys. We need to wrap up because we're all freezing. Be sure to connect to us on. Be sure to check out our new website. It has gone live.
Yes.
I think we mentioned this last, but it's definitely
Yeah, it's on.
hard. Yeah, that's live, so go check it out. You can reach out to us on our Twitter channels, also on Twitter and LinkedIn via
Instagram.
@ThinkBDA, and also Instagram. Next week, so we've gone brief. We've tackled the brief in terms of where we go next. What's on the roadmap after?
I think it's. I might be wrong, but I think it's like some of the creative process that,
Yeah.
that we go through.
The creative process.
Ideas,
Creative
thinking.
ideas, all that stuff.
Don't know what that is.
Lee Williams' face. He's excited.
But that is creativity. That's what.
No, completely.
Brilliant.
That's what floats my boat. So be sure to check out next week, next Thursday. The podcast goes live every Friday. So we'll see you next Friday. Have a great weekend, and bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well done, guys.